So I watched this movie all the time as a kid. It was a four-pack DVD collection that was Space Jam, this movie, Osmosis Jones, and Funky Monkey. I'm almost positive that most people probably haven't seen Funky Monkey. The other stuff, I'm sure there's a decent fan base for, stuff like Osmosis Jones. Obviously, Space Jam has a fan base. But anyway, I love this movie. I still think it's great. I love this movie as a kid, and I still love this movie. The cast is fucking stacked. So I want to compliment the cast. First off, Steve Martin plays the main villain, and he just looks like a really good villain in this movie. I think obviously he's most well known for Cheaper by the Dozen, at least to me. So that's something I might rewatch for the future for a review because I love that movie as a kid and I remember liking the sequel too, but who knows. Jesse Cusack, or no, Joan Cusack, I think is her name, who plays Jessie from Toy Story, is in this movie very briefly as a character named Mother. I had recently saw her in the movie Mars Needs Mom 2, which was another movie I rewatched for a review. Matthew Lillard has a brief meta moment where, he's playing himself and Casey Kazim's Shaggy is criticizing his performance in the Scooby-Doo movie and says, don't mess it up in the sequel. Which is aged well because, Scooby-Doo did get a sequel. Then there is a Batman in the movie, like a stuntman. I guess they're filming a new Batman movie. And the costume kind of looks like Christopher Nolan's Batman, even though that movie had not come out yet. And I don't believe there was even a trailer dropped yet. And the Batmobile in the movie is it's the 1989 Batmobile, the Michael Keaton Batmobile. So the plot of this movie is, it's a bit contrived and weird. It's over the top, but I think it works. I do think it's a little silly that this is supposed to be, a Looney Tunes movie, but most of the Looney Tunes are barely in it and when they are, they just don't do that much. It's mainly Brendan Fraser, Bugs, and Daffy. And even Bugs disappears for a little bit. And then there's this other girl who's like Brendan Fraser's love interest. I don't really care for her at all in this movie. Nothing against the actor, just bland character. Don't know why she's here. So Brendan Fraser's character is also like named DJ Drake, and he's the son of Damian Drake, who's the guy that played, the villain in Doom Patrol. Well, plot twist villain, really. The chief. Which I also think is funny is that he went on to go play a Time Lord in Doctor Who, and the Daleks have a brief cameo in this movie. I thought that was pretty funny. Because, once again, this movie is before the Doctor Who revival. It came out in 2005. This movie came out in 2003. And it was like season 4 when he appeared. It's such a talented cast. There's also like a Michael B. Jordan cameo, but I think they probably just reused footage from Space Jam. And Michael B. Jordan didn't actually show up in this movie. This movie, it's just a lot of fun to me. Daffy Duck gets fired because there's low ratings, and apparently the only people that like him are assholes and basement dwellers. So they fire him, but obviously there isn't really a show without Daffy Duck, so it ends up not working out. The opening scene with Bugs and Daffy, the Wabbit season thing, has lived in my head rent-free forever. A lot of these scenes, I watched this movie way too much as a kid. Just live rent-free in my head, and I was quoting them out loud while watching the movie. It's just, I think it's a lot of fun. So, there's also a Psycho reference of all things with Bugs in the shower and he pours some ink down the drain. So it's like gray because obviously Psycho was black and white. So, yeah, that was pretty fucking funny now that I've seen Psycho. It's just, it's a lot of fun. I keep saying that, but it is. I think it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of references, some adult jokes, some kid jokes, lots of Looney Tunes action. Brendan Fraser has a meta joke about how he did all of his own stunts, but obviously in this movie he's not playing Brendan Fraser. He's playing DJ Drake. So he's like, "Did you know I did most of Brendan Fraser's stunts in The Mummy? I was in that movie more than him." And that's just really funny. At the end of the movie, he ends up punching Brendan Fraser in the face. Just wow. Then we get some hijinks with Steve Martin's character hiring people to go get Daffy and Brendan. And they're at a casino now talking to this girl Dusty Tails who knows his dad who's a spy. And, this is a big point of the movie that there's this blue monkey thing that can turn people into monkeys. And Steve Martin wants to use it to turn people into monkeys to make his products. It's very convoluted and weird. Like, there's a very dark and funny joke in the movie that apparently he's using 9-year-olds in his factory to make his equipment. And he's mad about it. And you think, oh, yeah, because it's child labor. But no, because he thinks 3-year-olds are cheaper to pay. But, he at the end of the day, he does want to replace the 3-year-olds with monkeys. And then once they're made all of his equipment, he's going to turn them back into people, apparently. So it's not even a permanent thing. And it's just a very strange plan. And we don't even hear this from him. We hear this from somebody else that this is his plan, which I think is a little strange. So they're at the casino and they hired the guy. I'm trying to think of what his name is, the cowboy guy. As a kid, I always got him confused with Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd was always way cooler to me, though. I don't remember his name. But yeah, he hires that guy, and he also hires a guy I believe was named Cottontail and Nasty, who were apparently in the original show. I don't really remember them, because I did watch the original show as a kid. So they're trying to stop him. There's a funny scene where they light dynamite on fire, and they are about to throw it out the window, but Brendan Fraser is able to do like this crazy turn and get away from them. So we have this another meta joke about how he can't throw the dynamite out the window. He might hurt innocent people now that the people that they're going after are nowhere around. And then the person in the back, Cottontail, is like, what kind of message would be sending to the children? So then the dynamite just blows up in their face. Really funny scene. Goldberg, the wrestler, is also in this movie. He doesn't have any lines, but he is an intimidating figure in this movie that gets quite a few scenes. Then, they hire some other people like the Martian, and most of the characters in this movie are just because they're going all over the city. So these Looney Tunes characters are all over the city, apparently. Like, the chicken guy is apparently in Las Vegas. And then, the Martian guy's in Area 52. That's the joke, that Area 51 isn't real. It's like a conspiracy theory, but Area 52 is real. And that's where we meet, Jesse from Toy Story. The Tasmanian Devil is played by Brendan Fraser in this movie, but he doesn't get to do that much. They hype it up like he's about to be this big thing in this movie. And on rewatch, it's very disappointing. He doesn't do that much. Ron Perlman's character, who we had mainly seen just sitting in a chair for the majority of the movie, finally gets some lines, and he criticizes the use of the Tasmanian devil. So the Tasmanian devil just murders him. He eats him. We don't see it, but he eats him. And then there's a skeleton there, and the Tasmanian devil burps. And then the skeleton talks, and he's like, "Oh, well, I guess I shouldn't have said that. I rescind what I said," which is just crazy. We never see Ron Perlman's character after this. And since, he's not like a Looney Tune like the others, I'm assuming he is dead. So then, Steve Martin and Goldberg and the Tasmanian devil end up meeting them once they get the monkey stone or whatever, and they were disguised as the old lady Tweety and the cat, I think. But obviously, it wasn't true. They do like this zipper thing, and it's like, "Oh, I'm Steve Martin. Oh no, I'm actually your dad. No, I'm actually Michael B. Jordan," until he goes back to being Steve Martin. I don't even believe Steve Martin really had a villain name in this movie. So yeah, Goldberg just straight up turns into a female version of the Tasmanian devil for some reason. Like, he ends up unzipping himself, and now he's a female Tasmanian devil, and kisses the Tasmanian devil. And then that's the last we see of the Tasmanian devil and Goldberg's character. So was Goldberg this whole time just a woman Tasmanian devil? That's strange. Steve Martin has this very convoluted plan about killing his spy dad, but it ends up not working out, and Brendan Fraser saves him and then turns him into a monkey. And then the movie ends with, I think, implying that this whole movie was a movie. So this is a movie inside of a movie inside of a movie. Just, wow, crazy. And I think that Matthew Willard scene is probably my favorite joke in the movie. It's something I always remembered about this movie. I think it's a pretty good movie. I think it gets a lot of hate. And yeah, there's a lot of silliness and a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. But it's a kid's movie at the end of the day. And I really enjoyed it.